Hey, this is Huang, and today I'm going to show you how to install WooCommerce from scratch. So before we begin with the installation process, I just want to give an example of what you can do with WooCommerce. You can use it as a full-fledged e-commerce solution, meaning that you have it handle all of the product pages, the product listings pages. Basically, you're using WooCommerce as your complete website, and any pages on your website, it's within the WooCommerce platform, kind of like this one. So all these pages are dynamically generated from WooCommerce. Same with the product listing pages. And then you can click on Add to Cart, and then you can go through with the checkout process. This is the most common use of WooCommerce. Another use of WooCommerce is you can have it set up with to where the audience can check out using Amazon or eBay, and there's plugins that help facilitate for this process. So you're basically using WooCommerce as the replacement for your website, except the checkout process is a little bit different. They wouldn't be paying on your website, but they'll be redirected to an affiliate link or something of that nature. And that could be handled either natively through WooCommerce, or you can add additional plugins that are specifically designed for Amazon or eBay. And then the other option, which is a little bit less common, is the whole website is done outside of WooCommerce. Besides the checkout process, the really cool thing is, if I, let's say, click on one of these links on this website, see how they changed the, on the bottom right over here, you can see that the URL changes depending on what is selected. So, this is another method of doing that, and with this method, it's kind of nice also because you get to experience the checkout benefits and reporting in the back end that WooCommerce provides, as well as a lot of the organization tools and e-commerce logistic tools, such as printing out your maybe packing slips or integrating it with a shipping method, or having multiple payment methods. I know there's a lot of simpler plugins or simpler software out there, but typically a lot of them are designed with only PayPal in mind or one specific payment gateway in mind. So if you do want that freedom of customization around your website and use WooCommerce only for the checkout functionality, you can do that as well. So those are, three examples of different ways of utilizing WooCommerce. So now we're going to dive into the actual installation process itself. If you want a more in-depth explanation of WooCommerce, you can search in YouTube what is WooCommerce, and my video over here, what is WooCommerce, a comprehensive overview, should pop up. If it does not, search for what is WooCommerce, Huang, and that should definitely pull it up. So first things first, before you install WooCommerce from scratch, you need to have WordPress installed from scratch, which I'll show you how to do. So first, we're gonna search for WordPress download, because we want to download the latest version of WordPress. And I'll include the link to this directly in the description below this video. So go ahead and download. You can download the tarball, compressed tarball, or the standard zip file. Either one works. If well, for the second one, you need WinRAR, which they have a free trial version. But otherwise, I would just download the zip version. So after you have it installed, you want to launch your FTP program. The one that I use, that I also recommend, is WinSCP. There's another one called FileZilla, which is also free. But if you're installing this, I assume you already have the FTP part figured out. So after you have it downloaded, there's a couple of things you can do as far as installing it quicker. You can unzip everything and upload all the files individually, but that's kind of more of the tedious method. Let me just make sure that if I open this. Okay, so what I want to do specifically is extract this to the computer, and I'm going to explain while it's extracting what I'm going to do to install a lot quicker than, let's say, your average tutorial. So instead of just downloading it, unzipping it, uploading to the server, I'm going to download the WordPress zip file, uncompress it, and then go back into here, and then I'm going to keep the installation clean. I delete 2 files, the README and the license.txt file. You can keep those on there if you want. Select all of the files, right click, and then add to archive if you have WinRAR. If you don't, you can just Google it and download it. WinRAR. And just so you don't go to the wrong website, this is the link to download WinRAR, and you want to download either probably the first one. If you have a 64-bit system, then you can download the second one, and then once it's downloaded, you'll be able to see an interface similar to this. And the reason I'm unzipping it and then adding it to archive is because I don't want it, when I upload to the server, to be inside of a WordPress folder. So that's why I'm doing this. And I can change the compression to best, so that way the upload is even quicker. Alright, so now this is a zip file that I just made where the WordPress files are not contained inside a subfolder, just to make it a little bit easier. So after I have that, then I want to go back here and then upload this file to the FTP. And then while it's doing that, I'm just going to log into the admin here. Or log into the web hosting control panel, sorry. So here we are in here, the web hosting control panel. If you do not have a web host yet, there's just look down the link below. I include the link to HostGator. I would highly recommend them. I use them for some of my my websites as well. And they also have solutions for you to scale your business upward as you grow. So I'll include the link below. And then their control panel is cPanel, so you'll be able to see a interface just like mine. So after that, after you're in cPanel, you want to go to the File Manager, and then you want to navigate to the Shop folder, which is where we upload the WordPress. So now what I can do is just right click and click on Extract. Bam. And then I can delete the original zip file. Alright, so now if I go to the website, it brings me to the WordPress installer. So now for this process, I'm just going to move this window off the screen so I can fill this out real quick. Actually, before I even do that, I'm going to walk you through each of the pieces of information here and where you go to locate this information. This information is not provided by your web host by any means. You have to create the database. So in cPanel, you will go to under databases, go to MySQL databases, and then what you want to do is create a database first, and then create a database username, and then create the password. And And then after you do that, there's one more step. So I'm going to move this off the screen just so I can type in the password here. Actually, for this part, you can see shop, and you can assign any database name, and same with the user. So let me go ahead and generate. So I'm going to basically I'm just generating a password. Oops, you can see the passwords here. Let's see. Okay. And so afterwards, what you want to do is, after you create the username and the database, you want to, under Add User to Database, click on Add. And then you want to select All Privileges, and click on Make Change, and then go back. And on this page, for database name, you can just leave it, or sorry, database name, you want to change it to match the database name. In this case, it's phpship_shop. And then also your username. And in this case, it's phpship_admin. Typically, it comes in the format of your web hosting control panel username. Usually no longer than 8 characters, followed by underscore, and then the name that you assigned it. So that's the format that's cPanel based web hosting systems use for MySQL usernames and MySQL databases. So if it doesn't look like, doesn't have an underscore, and it doesn't have what appears to be a username in front of it, if it's just the word by itself, double check on that, because if you're using a cPanel system, even if you're the only person on the server, it should still be in a similar format. And then for the database host, leave it as localhost. You can leave the table prefix alone, and then the password that you've created. So I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, so in the time that I've paused it, I enter in my credentials. So after you click the button to go to the next screen, this is basically what you will see. Let me close this window since we don't need it. And now I'm going to click Run the install. And now I can assign a website title. And now if you are going to be working on your website for a while, I mean like, a month, 2 months down the line, then you want to check this. That way it doesn't, especially if you're going to buy a theme, usually those come with a lot of prepackaged verbiage from the template. So in the time that it takes for you or your webmaster to replace all of the placeholder copy with your own, I would discourage search engines from indexing your website. But after you do that, make sure you go back and enable it, the functionality in your WordPress backend. So for my purpose, I'm not going to check that. So I'm going to just run the install WordPress. Bam, and that's it. WordPress has been installed. So I can log in here. And this is how the dashboard looks like. I can also check out the front end. This is how the default WordPress installation looks like. Now the next thing I'm going to do is let's jump right into setting up WooCommerce. So you can install WooCommerce by just going to into Add New under Plugins and search for WooCommerce. And it's this one right over here, the first one. So just click on Install and then click on Activate. And then click on Let's Go. You can always go back and change these this information later after you've set it up. So now if I add a product here, maybe if the product is, let me just keep hitting dismiss to get rid of these bubbles. Sample product A, test. Okay, I'm just going to click on Publish and see what happens. And if I open this page up, cool. So now I can add to cart. Click on View Cart. And then from here, checkout. And of course, I'm not going to be able to check out because I haven't gone in and entered in my payment information yet, or payment method information. So to do that, you would go back to the WooCommerce backend, go to WooCommerce settings, and then you will want to go to checkout. And over here is where you can go into a PayPal or Stripe or any of these and add your own and enter in basically the API information that is provided by PayPal or Stripe. They don't just email it to you. You have to go in and each of them have it in a different location. So you will have to contact them, and they'll be able to guide you through where you can generate an API key and use it on your website. And once you have that information in here, you also need, if you're taking Stripe payments, that's Stripe for a credit card. Also have a video on what is Stripe, so you can search on YouTube what is Stripe, and this will give you some information about Stripe as a credit card payment processor. The key benefit for Stripe is that you can get it up and running within literally like 5 minutes, versus if you're going through a standard bank payment processor, and the typical payment gateway that they will all defer to is authorized.net. That whole process can take like anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. So using Stripe has huge benefits in that aspect to accept credit card payments. And also Stripe integrates directly, so if you enable Stripe, it's not going to say like pay using Stripe the same way that PayPal does it. Stripe is a payment gateway and a payment processor built into one. And also there's no monthly fees or anything like that for using Stripe. They charge a 2.99% plus I think 30-cent transaction fee for each transaction that you run, but they don't have any monthly fees or monthly minimum quotas that you have to meet. So after you set that up, make sure you have SSL installed, and SSL is basically, it's where you can, you got the green little icon here, and you can get that set up through your web host. And if you use HostGator, by clicking the link below, they'll be able to they provide SSL certificates, and they also provide the installation for it. You do have to purchase it separately from your web hosting though, but they do provide all of that for you. And that's important because the green lock indicates that information being transmitted from your customers to your website are encrypted, and that is a mandate if you're accepting credit card payments directly from your website. If you're using only PayPal, you don't need that. It's preferable, but it's not mandatory. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to set up your shipping methods, and to do that, I believe it was under, let's see, it's underneath one of these tabs. I forgot exactly which one. Shipping. Oh, accounts. I'm going to pause this video real quick. I need a reference to something. Okay, I am back. So to enable the shipping, it was actually right in front of me. You would change the default disable shipping and shipping calculations to ship to all countries you sell to, or you can select ship to all countries, depending on your needs. And then once you have that selected, you can click on Save Changes, and then there'll be a shipping tab that shows up, and this is where you'll be able to add and configure how you want your shipping to be. By default, it does not come with UPS, FedEx, and USPS shipping calculations. So to add that feature to your website, you would need to use a plugin. This is one that I've used for some of my websites. WooCommerce Shipping by EasyPost. And another is this one, which I think I've only used one time. I don't remember how this one was, but this one also supports DHL. Actually, both of them supports DHL. So, so you will need to download and follow the instructions to add these extensions, but I'll leave that up to you. So right now, with the website, provided that I do add the payment methods, then somebody going to my website will be able to purchase the item and check out. Now I'm going to walk you through some of the pages that gets generated. So as you can see, there's a shop page that gets generated. Now I know this looks a little confusing because I named the WordPress folder also shop, so you can rename this page to home or something like that. But by them going to shop page, they'll be able to see a grid of all the different products that you sell, and then they'll be able to go in and add their products to the cart, and they'll be able to purchase it from your website. Now, if you want to look a little bit nicer, or a lot nicer than the default look and feel, you can go to a website called Theme Forest, and it's .net. And I'll include the link below. And you can search for WooCommerce themes, and you'll get just like tons of them. So depending on what your needs are, check the ratings. The ratings, I think, are important because some of them are coded in a way where the user experience might not be as good, and that will typically reflect. And you can click into each one. They typically have demos for you to see. Obviously, these look a lot nicer than this, so definitely consider getting a theme for your WooCommerce website. It'll make it look a lot better, but then again, it's not necessarily mandatory. So if you have just maybe a blog and you already have an audience and they don't particularly care about the design of the website so much, maybe you could use the default one with a few modifications. But for most people, I think getting a theme would be preferable. And there's also ways of having set up, as I've shown you in the beginning of the video, where your website is done outside of WooCommerce and only the checkout process leverages WooCommerce. but I'll leave that for either another video or you can probably just run a Google search to figure out how to incorporate that. So all in all, this is how you would install WooCommerce from scratch. It is contingent upon installing WordPress from scratch, and you do need to on a very basic level have a PayPal account, so you can get that tied in for your customers to be able to pay you. And then after that, you can go to search for WooCommerce Extensions, and you'll be able to find a whole host of extensions that will enhance your WooCommerce website, whether it's stuff for the audience. Maybe you want to incorporate some more comprehensive coupon systems, where if they buy, you know, maybe a red product, they'll also be entitled to get a blue product at half off. Logistics like that, where it's a little bit more advanced, is not built in, but there are extensions for that. Or you can have stuff that will enhance the experience for your staff. So there are like print packing slip extensions. There's extensions that will tie it into your favorite bookkeeping software. So all sorts of extensions here. Definitely check it out. And that's how WooCommerce makes their money, really. Since the WooCommerce itself is free, they make the money from the extensions that they sell. So hopefully this video will give you a quick start on getting your e-commerce website going. And if you've liked this video, you know, please click on the like thumbs up, and also feel free to leave a comment below if you have any comments or questions. Also, make sure you like my or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos just like this one. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for subscribing.